mansions bright and blessed, He'll prepare for us a place.
When
we all get to heaven,
what a day!
What a day of rejoicing that will be when we all see Jesus. We'll sing and shout the victory. Let us then be true and faithful, trusting, serving every day. Just one glimpse of Him in glory will the toils of life repay.
When
we all get to heaven,
what a day!
what a day of rejoicing that will be when we all see Jesus. We'll sing and shout the victory. Onward to the prize before us, soon His beauty will behold. Soon the pearly gates will open, we shall tread the streets of gold.
When
we all get to heaven,
what a day!
what a day of rejoicing that will be when we all see Jesus. We'll sing and shout the victory. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Perfect submission, perfect delight, visions of rapture now burst on my sight. Angels descending bring from above echoes of mercy, whispers of love. Perfect submission, all is at rest. I in my Savior am happy and blessed, watching and waiting, looking above, filled with His goodness, lost in His love. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, Thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul.
Mark chapter 6. Yes, Judd?
Did anybody find out anything about Lisa's mom, Linda Manning, how her surgery?
Yeah, everything went well. Yeah, went well. So she's recovering. Yes, appreciate that. Should have mentioned that. Thank you, Judd. So Mark chapter 6. We blew through Mark chapter part of the end of 4 and 5 last week, and I'm mighty proud of myself for that. I'll tell you that right now. We cannot get bogged down. It's just a short little study, and we're focusing on what Mark is focusing on. Who is Jesus, and what's it mean to be his disciple? What do we learn about Jesus? What do we learn about being his followers? And so that's the focus, and you'll even see that very specific with some of the details or lack of details that Mark gives, even when they involve Peter. We'll see in just a moment, a little bit here, with as Peter is believed to be, Mark is the biographer of Peter, we believe. So that's what we're seeing. Now, Mark chapter 6, it's rapid fire. There's once again a number of these stories that are significant. Remember, we're up in the northern area, up on the Sea of Galilee. Jesus was previously over in the Gentile territory, these 7 Gentile cities. And so he's been over there. He's coming back on the west side of the Sea of Galilee. This would be Gentile or Jewish territory. And so he's going to crisscross at times around this lake. And we'll see tonight how he's going to try to get away from the crowds, but they're going to run over and race over to the other side before he can get over there, and they meet him there, and so you find that. And there you see some images of this big lake, which is called the Sea of Galilee, and it's a beautiful area, 12 miles wide, 7 miles long. It's a beautiful area. There's one of the 28 seaports that they had on the lake. So it was very, very, in the first century, prominent. Mark chapter 6, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this story, even though it's fascinating. The rejection of Jesus at Nazareth. Jesus goes to his hometown at Nazareth, and they're his disciples, and he goes into the Sabbath, and he begins to teach, and again, we get a condensed version. Luke will give us more detail, because remember, Luke is the oversharing, gives you a lot of details, like, 12, 20, 30 verses. Mark's like, yeah, he went to his hometown, he taught, he was rejected, moving on. There's 2 things in the Gospels that Jesus is amazed by: faith and the lack of faith. And this is very pointed because these are his people. He's the hometown rabbi, famous traveling large crowd attracting rabbi, reporting, doing these amazing things, and he comes back, and what's his reception? Verse, what? End of 2, 3? What? Yeah. Who is this? He's a nothing. He's a really nobody. How is he great? How is he special? How is he doing these things? These miracles. Isn't this a carpenter? The carpenter? Isn't this Mary's son? The brother of James? Aren't these his sisters here? And they took offense at him. And then, of course, he quotes from, a prophet is not without honor except in his hometown, among his relatives, among his own family. He did not do any miracles there except lay hands on a few sick and healed them. He was amazed at their what? Lack of faith. Now, this is in contrast to what we just saw at the end of chapter 5 in the faith of the ruler of the synagogue, Jairus, the woman with the flow of blood. Now his hometown. Why is that? Why is he his own people? What's going on? What prevents them? Prejudice, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. What else could be going on? They've known him all his life. What can that breed? Contempt? Jealousy? How can this be? You know?
Really amazing they're acting like this.
Yeah.
All these things he did, they still do.
Yeah.
Doubt it.
Yeah.
It's kind of common though, when you start going to church and this family's not in church,
Mhm.
and you really start going to church and they're really not in church,
Yeah.
then they start like, oh, if you turn older now,
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah, it's much more common than as Jesus is quoting from the Old Testament about a prophet being held in honor except among his hometown, among his own people. You know, weren't you just that little runt? Weren't you just Mary and Joseph's son? Weren't you running around here causing trouble and, being a kid? And now how are you doing great things and claiming to be, the anointed one of God? And they allow their familiarity to prevent them from seeing who Jesus is. We have to be careful with that, don't we? We can be around something so long, we can see something in front of us, and if we're not careful, we can be blinded by our prejudices, by our presuppositions of what we've always thought and believed and known. And those kind of things can keep us from seeing the truth. And that's what happens here with Jesus, with his people. It's just amazing, the lack of faith that they have. And so Jesus doesn't do any miracles there, except a few. It says he laid on the hands of some sick people. And again, he's amazed. He's amazed sometimes of the faith that he sees from the people that you wouldn't expect. But here, the people you would expect, he doesn't see it. And it's just a sad little story detail here that we give. Again, Luke gives us some more information, but it's not something I want to spend a lot of time on unless you have any thoughts or comments or questions on it. Go ahead. Someone have a... it's just it's really, really a sad thing. And whose voice will we listen to the most? The voice of others and what we've heard and what we... Or we're going to listen to when God is speaking, and that's what he's doing here, but they're not hearing. All right, now in the next section here, he's going to send out the 12. So Jesus went around teaching from village to village, calling the 12 to him. He began to send them out 2 by 2 and gave them authority over impure spirits. The word sent or send, that's our word apostle, is one who is sent. And so he called them 2 by 2, and he gave these instructions. Verse 8, take nothing for the journey except a staff, no bread, no bag, no money in your belts. Wear sandals, but not extra shirt. Whenever you enter a house, stay there until you leave that town. If any place will not welcome you or listen to you, leave that place. Shake the dust off your feet as a testimony against them. They went out and preached that people should repent. They drove out many demons and anointed many sick people with oil and healed them. So why these, first of all, why send them out in 2? Why 2? Okay, support each other. Encouragement, but what do we also know about the Old Testament, about the testimony of how many you got to have to verify something in the law? 2 under the law. So there's also that validity of what they're doing will be covered. I think, as Roy said and others said, the support, the encouragement that they would get in going with someone else. And then these prohibitions. On first reading, it's really odd or strange. Jesus puts all these limitations on them, these list of limits. Don't take this, don't extra that, don't have that. Well, wait a minute, Lord, what if we run into some trouble, and what if this happens? You can imagine all the things we want to think about. What do we think about that? What's going on? Yeah, Matt?
God will provide.
Okay. Go ahead, Dolores. Yeah. What is also... Go ahead, Roy.
Their faith
Their faith, okay.
God will provide for them.
Isn't there also a issue of being gracious for what you do receive, not being, have you ever seen somebody that was provided something, maybe a host, hospitality, and someone didn't like it too well? You ever seen somebody do that? Kind of like, oh, this is where I'm staying? How well, when that happens, how well does that go over sometimes when people provide a meal, a place, blah, 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 and somebody kind of, how well does that go over usually? Not very well.
Well, a good host won't say anything.
No, yeah.
But it's,
What happens to their credibility, their influence a little bit even? I got to tell a story years ago when I was preaching in Cleveland. I'm not going to name any names of a well-known gospel. He's passed away, and I'm just leave it at that. They would have us in homes during the gospel meeting. We would have lunch in members' homes, and I always enjoyed that. And this guy, it was an older preacher, he just embarrassed me. He was rude, kind of. He was wanting to leave quickly. He didn't hardly want to talk. It was just unbelievable how he was acting. And I first thought, well, maybe he don't feel well. But then I ran across a few years later another gospel preacher who did a lot of meetings, and I mentioned it, kind of in like, and I didn't say the name of the preacher, and he named him. He said, "Was it so and so?" He said, "I've heard that he is." And here members have prepared a nice meal, and let's go in now and sit down and talk to them and encourage them and ask, this is a time for him to, and it was just like, all right, okay, what time are you about ready? I was so embarrassed. And the brethren held him in high esteem there. And I did too. I didn't know him like that. And it was so refreshing because that was when we were doing, Matt, a spring and a fall meeting. One in the spring, one in the fall. And the guy we had in the spring was such an encouragement. And I did know of him. And he was such a night and day, not only to how he acted, but towards me. And it was so, but I'm telling you, it affected his ability, at least with them, with at least that couple, and if the others that saw it a few times that we had meals. And so their attitude, but also what Matt say and others say, trust that God will provide. Here's the thing. The Lord called them to a mission. He will equip them to do that mission. And also, how about this one? No distractions. What happens when you travel a lot, especially for a while? You go on a 2-week trip. What do you have a tendency to overdo as far as your stuff? Overpack. Overspend money, but as far as possessions, and don't you have a tendency to overdo it a little bit? And you're like, now we got all this stuff we got to carry. We got to get on planes and hotels and buses. And we used to say when we do mission trips, we tell them, the more you carry, the more you carry. What do you mean by that? Well, we're going to be in other countries and jumping on buses and shuttles, and you're dragging these big old bags, It becomes a what? A burden and a distraction. Where's my bag? Where's my bag? Oh, get my bag, get my bag. If Jesus sends them out and they're all dragging all their stuff with them, where's their focus? Also, it's going to be distracted. And so Jesus wants them focused. He doesn't want them, he wants them to trust him, that he'll provide what they need. Don't take only what they need. And so I love that he prepares them. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's for like appearance sake too.
Yeah.
Just like you say, when you travel, you always want to look your best.
Right.
But if you see the real you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not walking into something and you have more than what someone has,
That's right.
then
They're
more perceptive.
Yeah. And there was certainly in that time, there was a lot of traveling prophets and people who claim to be from God or the gods, and they would often take advantage of people financially. We know that still happens, and so it was certainly in ancient times. And so all of that is to say, Jesus prepares them. He wants them to trust Him, and that they're not alone. They're to go in together. They're not lone rangers, and that they are to depend upon Him for what they need. He'll take care of them. And so anyway, did I see a hand? Go ahead. We'll get a couple of them here.
Oh, I was gonna say, doesn't, like, in Ecclesiastes 4:9, it says the value of a friend, that two are better than one.
Yeah.
It goes on from 9 to 12, tells you why you should have two people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kevin, did you?
We don't have this problem in the States, but sometimes what we think we need, we don't.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And so Jesus is trying to whittle that down to the bare necessities and provide. I'll provide anything else that you need. And of course, He tells them, even if you're not welcomed, what do? Shake it off, move on. Don't stay where you're not welcomed. Don't try to fight them. Don't try to argue. Just move on to the next one. And so that's what they did. They went out and preached, and they drove out many demons and anointed many sick people. So they're having success. Again, other gospel accounts will give us even a few more details. Mark's bare minimal. They're having success, is what we find in this account. And then you find this story with Herod, and you get a little bit of the backstory of what happened to John the Baptist, the way Mark records it. There in verse 14, King Herod heard about this. He heard about Jesus. He heard about His ministry. For Jesus' name had become well known. Some were saying, John the Baptist has been raised from the dead, and this is why miraculous powers are at work in him. Others said, he's Elijah. Still others claimed, he's a prophet, like one of the prophets of long ago. But when Herod heard this, he said, John, whom I beheaded, has been raised from the dead. So why is he concerned about this? Because he thinks Jesus is who? John the Baptist. And what did he do? Well, that's what Mark's going to give us the backstory real quick and tell us again, because Mark doesn't give all the details of everything of Jesus' ministry, even near as much as what Matthew and Luke would do. He will go back and fill in about what happened with John the Baptist. And so Herod has this profound, by the way, this is Herod Antipas. He ruled from 4 BC to 39 AD, so the whole life after the father. Who was the father? Well, you know the father was Herod the Great, the one who tried to kill baby Jesus. He is the father, Herod Antipas, of Herod Agrippa in the book of Acts, who has James beheaded. And so the Herod family, they were this appointed from, they were not Jewish blood to rule over the people, the Jews in the end of the going into the first century. We could talk about the whole backstory, but anyway, they are very hostile, to say the least, to Jesus. And it'll be Herod Agrippa II that Paul will try to go and convert. And he'll have that, when Herod will say, Herod Agrippa II, you almost persuaded me to be a Christian. Paul tried to go right after the great-grandson of Herod the Great, who tried to kill baby Jesus. But this is Herod the Great's son, Herod Antipas, and he was receptive to John. Look what he goes on to describe here. Verse 17, for Herod himself had given orders to have John arrested. So we're going to get the quick backstory. He had him bound, put in prison. He did this because Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, whom he married, his brother is still alive. Now, if the Levirate law said, like in the book of Ruth, if a man dies and he has no children, the family members, right, the brother would be to take that woman, marry them, have a child with them, so that would continue that dead brother's line and name. That's not what's going on here. His brother's still alive. And so Herod condemned that, and John condemned it, and Herodias took what? Took offense. You scorn a woman? Watch out, right? There's an old saying, right? And you know it. And Herodias would have none of this. Herod, though, again, he did this because of his brother, for John had been saying to Herod, "It is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife." So Herodias nursed a grudge against John and wanted to kill him, but was not able to, because Herod, what? Feared and protected him, knowing him to be a righteous and holy man. Here's what's fascinating. Herod is halfway there. He fears John the Baptist. He knows that he's a man from God, and the things that John the Baptist did. And so he's not directly at war with John the Baptist. When Herod heard John, he was puzzled, yet he liked to listen to him. And this will be the case later on when Jesus is going to be brought before Herod. He's going to be fascinated as well and wants to see if Jesus will perform some miracle for him. You remember at all his trials. Finally, an opportune time came. On his birthday, Herod gave a banquet for his high officials, military commanders, and leading men of Galilee. When the daughter of Herodias came and danced, she pleased Herod. This is likely some kind of sexual connotation. And just like in the book of Esther, remember, with Queen Vashti, she was asked to come and dance before these men, and that also could likely put her at risk. And so she does not do that. And so here is his Herodias' daughter who comes in and does that. And the king is feeling so good. Ask me anything and I'll give you. And he promised with an oath, whatever you ask, I'll give you up to half my kingdom. We've all been in those kind of great moods, and we tell our kids, yeah, what you want? You want something from the store? You want me to buy you something? I've done that before. I've been such a good mood and loving on my kids, and I'll say, why don't you pick something out? Now, I'm going to give it a limit, of course. But I've done that. I've taken my kids out and said, why don't you pick out something? The girls, why don't you pick out a little dress? Are you sure? Yeah, go ahead. Is that one too much? No, that's just, the other one's a little nicer. Why don't you try that one on even? Are you serious? Yeah, why? Because I love you. I'm feeling good. We've all been there, and Herod is feeling good about himself. I'll give you up to half my kingdom. And boy, he makes this vow even. And, for the Jews, that was just the opening Herodias needed. She went out and said to her mother, what shall I ask? Yeah, Herodias knew exactly what to do here. She got him. The head of John the Baptist, she answered. At once the girl hurried to the king with the request, I want you to give me right now the head of John the Baptist on a platter. The king was greatly distressed, verse 26. Because of his oaths and his dinner guest, he did not want to refuse her. So he immediately sent the executioners with orders to bring Herod's head. The man went, beheaded John in prison, and brought it back on his head on a platter. Pretty disturbing. He presented it to the girl. She gave it to her mother. That's even sicker. And on hearing this, John's disciples came, took his body, and laid it in a tomb. And we know that Jesus said, of all the women born, none are greater than John the Baptist. Nobody walked the earth who was greater than John the Baptist outside of Jesus. He is held in that high esteem. And this is how his end comes. All because of immorality that Herod was involved with, all because of a foolish vow. But of course, this was in the in the plan of God that this was going to be the case. Very, very sad passage that picks right into, though, look what happens in verse 30. 30 and 31. The apostles gathered around Jesus. Look at this. I like this. And reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going, they did not even have a chance to eat. He said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place, and let's get some rest." Matthew, in his account, makes it clear, it was also in connection to their telling Jesus that John had died. They were cousins, remember? John the Baptist and Jesus were cousins. And so they knew each other, they loved each other, and so Jesus is grieving. And look what, he says, so that we can have a chance to eat. He'll say down in verse 32, so they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. Jesus knows they need rest. Jesus is grieving. We put that together with the other gospel accounts. He needs some rest. He knows that they need rest. They need to get away. And they need to have some time. What is it about us? Sometimes we have a hard time stopping and taking Sabbath time, taking time to rest. American culture is a working culture. We are a go, go, go. We work at our play. We work, and then we work some more, and then we play hard on the weekends, and we go, go, go. And we literally rush into worship. And sometimes, I got to be honest, the hour or two that some people sit here in the pews, do you know that's maybe some of the longest times they sit and just do nothing? Because once they leave here, what's people's schedules often filled with? Just, got to work, got to go, we got to sell, we got to make this deal, we got to go see this person, we got ball game after school, then we got practice, then we got a tournament this weekend, and then when baseball's over, we got to do soccer, and then when soccer's over, football, and Jesus knows we need what? And not only He needed it. He's going to take time. How many times do we read that Jesus often withdrew to a solitary place so that He could spend what? Time with God, resting, mentally What is Jesus doing around the clock, basically? He's healing, He's teaching, He's casting out demons, He's spending time with the disciples. He needs time alone to recover and to get his mind at right. And He sees the value in that. And we need to see that value as well. However, it doesn't happen, which is often the case. So they get in the boat. Verse 33, but what? Many of the people saw them leaving, recognized them, and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When Jesus landed, this is on the other side now, he's kind of crisscrossing back and forth, I told you. When he landed, he saw the crowd and he said, "Get out of here, I am tired, you're interrupting my rest time." That's not what he said? Well, that's what I would say. I mean, how do you like it when you finally get some time alone and somebody interrupts you? Yeah? Does that bother you? Yeah. Jesus, though, could be bothered. His response was what, Dolores? Felt compassion for them. Had compassion for them. Jesus always is willing to take time for people. Even when He's tired, even when He's on the cross, dying for the world, what's He take time for with these two thieves? Particularly the one thief. Forgives one of them. Hey, Jesus, hey, I know you're dying. You can barely breathe. You've been scourged, beaten, nailed to the cross. You're bearing the sins of the world. But hey, would you have time to save me? Jesus separated from the Father, bearing the sins, but what's He have time to? Yeah, today I'll save you. Yeah, He's always making time. Lucy?
He also took the time to take care of his mother.
Yeah. What's that tell us about our Savior? We mean something to Him. We mean something. And a world full, right, of, I mean, what did we just saw back up from chapter 5? The ruler of the synagogue comes to Jesus and says, what? My little girl is 12 and is sick, dying. And Jesus goes, but what happens? Remember what we said, what we saw? He's interrupted with the woman with what? With the blood. Now, hey, lady, I don't have time for this. I've got a ruler of the synagogue of the Jewish people who's asked me to come. You need to just, I'll get to you later. That's not what Jesus does, right? He stops and does what? Heals her. Draws out her faith. We matter, don't we? Right? We all matter to the Lord. And He sees us. And He takes the time. He sees the crowd. Once again, that's part of His MO. And He began teaching them because they're like sheep, what? Without a shepherd. They're not being led by the Jewish leaders. They've been failed. They've been they're taking advantage of the people, putting the burden upon them of their traditions, as the next chapter will show. He began teaching them because His burden is light and His yoke is easy. And so He begins teaching them. But of course, that sets up this great miracle. By this time, it was late in the day, so His disciples came to Him and said, this is a remote place, verse 35. It's already very late. Send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat. Now, I do like that the apostles do have some compassion too, a little bit. They're like, hey, it's getting late in the day. It's time to wrap up. Offer the invitation. While we stand and sing, let's go home. That's kind of what they're saying. So the people have been out here, but He answered, you give them something to eat, verse 37. They said to Him, that would take more than a half a year's wages. There's 5,000 men, not counting women and children. So probably at least 10, 15,000 maybe likely here. Are we to go and spend that much on bread and give it to them to eat? How many loaves do you have? He asked. So, okay, go and see. Look what we just put it together. He just sent them out on this limited commission, and He said, don't take a bunch of what? Only take what you essentially need. Just don't load up with clothes and suitcases and bags and all this extra stuff. What'd we say? Trust that God will what? So they did that. They come back and they report to Him. Now He's going to give them a test and how they're putting it together. And there's 5,000 men, not counting women and children. We need to send them home. It's getting late in the day. We don't have any food. Hey, you feed them. We don't have anything. It would take a half a year's wages. What do you have? What do you have? Well, how many loaves do you have? And they found what? We got 5. We got 5 loaves and 2 fish. And instead of saying, hey, Jesus, you sent us out with only just limited what? When He sent them out, what we just see? You sent us out with how much supplies? Very limited. And were they successful? They came back and reported. So Jesus says, all right, let's have a test and see if you put it together. Now I want you to, what are we going to do about feeding all these people? You feed them. What do you have? Well, we got 5, we got these 5 loaf and 2 fish. And they don't believe it's going to be enough, of course. We know from the other accounts that we bring in. Jesus then directed them to have all the people sit down in groups on the green grass. They sat down in groups of hundreds and 50s. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, He looked up to heaven, gave thanks, broke the bread. Then He gave it to His disciples to distribute to the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls. And these are baskets. It's the same word that's used that describes Paul when they let him down the wall at night in Acts. It was a basket. This isn't a little Easter basket, okay? This is a big, I like big basket, big plates. I like when we have our fellowship meals and we got these big plates. I like that, Susan, John, I like that. I don't like them little plates. I want a big plate. And these aren't small baskets, these big baskets. And they collect 12 baskets full. 12. What's the significance of that for the Jews? But Old Testament wise, God's religion, God's nation is have how many tribes? 12 tribes. The fulfillment of God, of God's people. And they're going to collect 12, which means what? All of this is God's what? God established a nation, and he did it from how many sons? 12. And what came of those 12 boys? A whole nation. And by the time of Moses, historians believe upwards of 1.5 million to 3 million. It all started with what? Those boys. And now, so 12 baskets represents fulfillment, completion of the religion of God, of the Jewish. They would absolutely make that connection, or should have made that connection, of these broken pieces of bread and fish. And the number of men who had eaten was 5,000. Again, not counting women and children, we know. So likely 10, 15,000. And so we see this great story. What thoughts on that? What do you learn about Jesus? What do we learn about ourselves as disciples? Again. He can use it. He can mold. What do we just see? Remember, go back to the parable when Jesus taught the parable. Remember of the growing seed. The king of God is like a man who scattered seed on the ground night and day. Whether he sleeps or gets up, the seed sprouts and grows, though he doesn't know how. All by itself, the soil produces grain, the stalk, the head, then the full kernel head, and then there's a harvest. And what is he saying there? What do we say? We do our little part, but God is one who what? Makes it grow. God is, it's His work. It's His giving the increase. We don't do that. And so, once again, we realize He'll provide what we need. Now, it may not be what we always want, but it'll be what we need. And they're learning that. But they didn't exactly, and we're going to see in just a moment, not tonight, because we're not going to be able to finish it. But when we look at the calming of the storm, you go down there and you look at the lesson that He wanted them to get. Look at Mark 6. When He walks on the water, and then He'll calm the storm or the wind and get back in the boat. And they're completely amazed, for they did not understand, verse 52, about the what? And their hearts were hardened. They are stubborn to get the point. Jesus, we don't quite understand what you're teaching us. And we can say, those silly, foolish apostles, why can't they just get it? We're never like that, right? We always trust God. We never lose it and go, what am I going to do? How am I going to overcome? Everything is falling apart. I don't know what I'm going to do. We don't ever do that, right? Oh, yeah, we do. It is. Hindsight's 20/20. And when you're in the storm, though, and you're struggling, it's hard, isn't it? And we'll see that. We'll come back to that next week and finish up there. But it's all about the lesson of the feeding of the 5,000 and the loaves, the extra loaves that God provides. But they didn't quite get it. So, all right, we'll pick up there. And all right, glad you guys are here tonight. We'll see you, Lord willing, Sunday morning. So.
Praise you, oh, you are the Holy One. You're the one, you're the only one. Lord, the people love you.
Lord, the people love you.
Place nobody above you.
Place nobody above
Oh, you